Very good evening to very good evening to all of you. Uh, in 2008, I spoke at a public meeting at Waverly Court, St. George. It was the closing meeting of the general election of that year. And when I got off the platform, I said to myself, this is the last time I will ever appear as a speaker at a political meeting. Not that I didn't feel physically able to do so, but I always feel that there is a time to go. I wish that some other people will understand when it is time to go. I was in the House of Assembly up to 2008. And Billy Miller said to me one day, "Tull, you done?" And I says, "Yes, Billy, I done." And she told me that she too done. Because there comes a time when one must move on. Now, having said that I wasn't going to speak on any more political meetings, you wonder then, why are you here tonight? Well, these are extraordinary times. And extraordinary times required extraordinary action. Mayor Motley, and you notice that when she came in and everybody on the platform here stood up, I didn't. The knees. It is not disrespect, it's the knees. But Mayor Motley called me about 2 or 3 days ago and said, "I want you to come and speak at the meeting in St. George." Oh Lord, after all those many years, I'm rusty. I'm not up to date on all the issues. I don't have all these bright statistics that I hear from all the speakers. But they couldn't say no. Extraordinary times require extraordinary things. And these are extraordinary days. Before I go further than that, let me pay my respect to Glenn Clark, my parliamentary representative for a long time. I can't remember how long. I remember when he started because I held his hand. Yeah. And I listened to him speak, and I was proud of what I heard and the way he delivered himself. And it makes me feel good that I have passed on a great legacy. And before him, I stood outside and I listened to Dwight Sutherland, my protege. I knew him as a baby. Yeah, a little boy, but ran around the house. His grandfather was one of my main supporters. And a very strong and articulate man, old Mr. Sutherland. And he passed on to me, his son, Luther Sutherland, who walked my constituency with or without me for 30 years. And I heard Dwight, and I was so good. I said, he's come on. He's come on. He is so good. And I am proud that after the many years I've been around St. George South, that someone really worthy is looking after the shop. Since I'm looking back, Mia Motley, I knew Mia when she was a baby. And maybe I shouldn't say this, when she sat on my knee. I want to tell you, Mia, and all you people of the Barbados Labour Party family, that I am with Mia all the way. We have a lot of important work to be done in this country because things are not good. We don't have time to be caught up in petty squabbles and personal enmities and that kind of thing. The people of this Barbados Labour Party family and the people of Barbados demand something nobler than that. I get pulled out of my house and come to participate in this mission, this crusade, because of the plight of the people of Barbados. I remember saying to my party many, many years ago, that as long as it's stuck to its philosophical moorings, all will be well. And although things, as I think it was the prophet Hosea who said that weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. I have no doubt when I see the enormous talent and commitment by the new Barbados Labour Party leadership, the Mia Motleys and the Dwight Sutherlands and the Glenn Clarks and the rest of them. When I see what's there, and you know that I am in a position to judge these things. As they say, I've been there, done that. And when we see who we have got, we know that after all the weeping, that this Barbados Labour Party, led by Mia Motley, to produce joy in the morning. There's, as I said, I don't keep up with the details, but I know generally what's happening in Barbados. I came in and I heard Glenn Clark speaking about, no, it wasn't Glenn, it was Dwight, talking about the DLP sloganeering around the last election, say something about society and not economy. Well, you know, you can't run countries with petty sloganeering. You got to have something more, something deeper. But whether they were petty or not, and I say they were, the economy done, busted, lick up. Which is, I mean, I could rattle off, even though I say I don't follow too closely, but I could rattle off all the things that are going wrong by the economy, going wrong to the economy. And you read them every day, you hear them every day, you discuss them every day. So the economy is destroyed. And no wonder that it was destroyed, because the way they started off talking about this society and the economy as if the economy was not important, that could lead to what eventually it led to. And we talk about the society. Well, the society hasn't gone yet. Don't let's overstate it. The society hasn't gone yet, but it is going. And we can hear the auctioneer's voice going, but we don't want it to reach there. Because all of us live here. Some like me have children and grandchildren here. and therefore we don't want it to go. But what are they doing? All the things we're hearing. The government does not trust the public service, the civil service. And give me a minute to talk about that, because I have worked as a minister of government, and I know the importance of the public sector to the success of the programs of government. You don't work with the public service, or you don't have a good public services, you're goose cooked. And I am amazed at times when I hear ministers of government over and again critical in the harshest possible terms about the public officers who work with them. About 2 or 3 stand out in my mind, but my few minutes will not allow me to get into the details. But Minister Jones, Minister Ennis, you stand at some of the things you have heard them say about the public service. And you also look at what's happening, for instance, in the police force. I worked for a long time in law and order, both as Attorney General of this country, Minister of Police, and also around the law courts, where I spend a lot of time doing criminal work. And I understand the importance of the police and the work they have to do in keeping the integrity of this country where it should be. And there should be no politics whatsoever involved in the day-to-day running and administration of the police in this country. If you do that, you're going down a dangerous path which you might not be able to pull back. And we see all across this country the evidence of decay caused by the inefficiencies, the policies of this government. Crime on the increase. Every time you open, you hear about domestic violence, the drugs, the pornography, everything. And you have to wonder. You have to wonder how much is left of the society that consume their interests rather than the economy. I have every confidence, as I said, based on my knowledge of the people, by the policies they have been enunciated, which I hear from time to time. And let me just say here parenthetically that there's a body of opinion in Barbados that the opposition should run the country. They can't run the country. And those who are calling on the opposition to come out all the time and tell the country how to run the government, they're just wasting time. But I have heard the opposition repeatedly talk about what was going around with the country, how they should go about addressing those problems, and they've been doing it over and over and over again. I hear the leader of the opposition, Mayor Motley, speaking both in Parliament and budget debates and replace the statements made by the minister. I've heard her in addressing the civic groups. I've heard her brought from these meetings around the country. I've heard her articulate over and over again the position of the Barbados Labour Party opposition in relation to the economy. And she and all the other members of the opposition have been advising the government that it was making some steps that were dangerous for this country. This reference to my good friend, Sir Lloyd Erskine Sandiford. He went to school with me. He's my buddy. I know that some people find it difficult to understand that you're strong on one side, but you got a friend on the other. He's my friend. He says that with regret, he don't know how the country get back here. But I don't understand that. I mean, true, he was in China, that far, 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 far away. And in the old days, they used to talk about this slow boat to China. It used to take weeks and weeks and weeks to get to China from here. But not these days. Mr. Sandiford is an erudite man. He reads a lot, and they know that he follows what is going on. And he hasn't got to ask what caused us to get here, because he knew all along what was happening. And not only did he know, take it from me, that he told them that things were going wrong, and they ignored him. They ignored him. But you can't, week after week, what I noticed, because I tried it, and I almost get in heavy trouble. You can't spend more money all the time than you're earning. You don't take any economist with any lot of figures and so. My mother knew that, and my grandmother knew that. And one of the problems in this country is that the government has not been prepared to listen to anybody. Nobody they're listening to. And it is pretty clear that they were spending themselves into trouble. Now, this is where I go back to staying with your philosophical moorings. I don't understand why every single time there is a crisis, that the people who, as the Americans say, are thrown under the bus are the low-income people and the young. That's what happens each time. Believe me, if they send home 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, and the numbers keep going up, whatever number they send home, the vast majority of them are going to be people with the lowest income who's struggling just to survive, and the young people. The young people, obviously, because when they're sending home those who are not appointed and so on, the young people are the ones who came in late. They weren't around for 10 and 15 and 20 years, so they are going home. And it brings me back as I speak tonight. That all the things that I've been saying in the early 1990s, because we went through this already, yes, Mrs. Sandiford is right. I can go and dust off all my speeches in Hansard in 1991 and 92 and 93. I can go and pull out the speeches made on the political platform during that period, because the police tape them and keep them. You could get them. And if I went back to those speeches, I could come here tonight and tell them, play the tape, I don't need to speak. In those days, what happened is that people sent home from work from the lower income groups, men were afraid and ashamed to go home to their women and their children, because the women were hungry and the children were hungrier. And men had no money to take home. And there is nothing that makes a man feel less than a man than his inability to look after his family. In those days, I complained too that just as the government was sending home large numbers of people, they were cutting the vote to social services. The welfare vote got cut. All of them. Child care board, all of them got cut. Check these things out. You cannot be sending home thousands of people, and at the same time, the social services that are to give them a little bit of sustenance, you cut the vote on them too. That is happening again. In those days, people were losing their houses by the boodles. I hear Conde Riley talking about all the for sale signs and for rent signs of the houses. The houses and all that, showing that people can't keep up their mortgage payments and stuff. You know the thing that fascinates me? I see the cars parked side of the road all over Barbados for sale. People are driving their cars, parking them side of the road everywhere with a for sale sign. And the reason is that they can no longer maintain a car. I was at the gas station down here at Charles Road Bridge about a week ago. I pulled up to get some gas, and I was looking down, doing something, and then I heard the girl at the window, and I said, oh, sorry, I was waiting till you finished with the fella who's next to me. And she said to me, where he gone? I said, but he just drove out here about a minute ago. She said, well, he already got his gas. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. She told me that people come to that gas station and says, give me $4 what? No, it is not a laughing matter. $4 worth would take you from Charrow Bridge to St. George Church. You may laugh and think these things funny, but that is the situation in which we find ourselves in Barbados today. It's no laughing matter. Now, I have heard everybody tell me, not everybody, but a lot of people who are better schooled than I am, people who claim to be much more clever than I am, everybody tells me, well, you got to send home public workers. Why? The government spends, what was the annual expenditure of government? 2.5? $870 million a year on public workers. But the expenditure for the whole country is, what, 3.5 or 6 or 7 billion dollars. The amount for the public workers that say they will save is like $140 million. Now, I'm not trying to make light of it, but out of an almost $4 billion economy, $4 billion expenditure, government expenditure, $143 million is a small percentage of it. These people who are going home deserve better than that. Find it somewhere else. If they can't find it somewhere else, give me a call. Give me a call. I was Minister of Education and Culture. And when I say give me a call, I don't mean that I can write the check as my friend Reggie is signaling. I was Minister of Education and Culture, Community Development and Sports. I was Attorney General. I was Minister of Legal Affairs. I was Minister of Foreign Affairs. I was Minister of Consumer Affairs, Industry, Business. Talk to me. I will come up with a number of suggestions that, in my view, will help save large number of those jobs, if not all, and finally cut somewhere else. You want me to start, or wait till his friend will call me? Huh? There's a lot of pain at the end of this month when those 3,000 public workers will go home. There is going to be a lot of pain in these houses. One of the things that distress me quite a bit with Barbadians is that too often they're not their brother's keeper. And the feeling that if I am all right, let the other man worry about himself. I can't live like that. I can't live like that. Not only because how I feel about people and how the Barbados Labour Party has traditionally felt and acted towards people, but because I know there's always a downside to that pain. Those who feel comfortable in their mansions, their comfortable homes, and unconcerned about those down there who want to carry that pain, let me tell you that there's going to be a fallout. There's a limit to which people can suffer without striking out. The Barbados Labour Party cautions, implores this country to keep its cool. It is tough. We know it is hard. We know that the suffering is great. But we, this party, caution you not to step beyond the line. Because weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Thank you.